actually coding.
Oh, you're on something different.
Cool. So let's go through this bit by bit. What do you think this button up here does?
It runs the code.
It runs the code. You're so eager. I love it. All right. What do you think? Don't answer. What do you think this button does?
Stop to end the
Record the
game.
code.
It stops the code, right? Easy enough. All right. Down here, this is our editor. So this is where we're going to write our code. There's a few different parts going on here. These are just line numbers to help you keep track of it. You don't have to put anything specific on any line. They're just there so that you can, instead of like leaning over to say like, hey, you're missing a semicolon there, you can just say you're missing something on line 4. So that's why they're there. All right, this is a function. We're gonna start looking at what code actually is here, right? A function is just a reusable piece of code. Functions have names and they have behaviors. So if I was a function, I would be called Jasmine, and my behavior would probably be to roller skate because I really love roller skating, right? Ooh. So anytime somebody called Jasmine, I would be there roller skating, okay? All right, so this keyword here, which is just a special word in JavaScript that has a specific reason to exist, this keyword function indicates that we are defining a function, which means that we're gonna name it and we're gonna decide what it does. We're gonna determine its behavior. So using this word function, this is how we tell JavaScript, hey, I'm gonna give you some information about a function so that I can define it, okay? I heard a question over here.
No, he asked what is set up and you're about to go there.
Okay. All right, so here we name the function, right? So if I were a function, I'd be named Jasmine. This function here is named setup. That's all that is. We're just naming the function setup. These two strange pieces of punctuation that you've probably never seen before, these are called curly brackets. They're very important. Where they go is very important. Anything in between them, so this line here, createCanvas, which we'll talk about, is in between the first curly bracket and the second curly bracket. We call this one open curly bracket and this one closed. Just like parentheses, you have an open parenthesis and a closed parenthesis, right? So anything between here is the behavior of setup. It's the body of setup. I know that we're going through it really quickly, but once you start coding, you're gonna get all this very fast. All right, so now we're gonna look at the actual body of setup. Whatever is inside of these curly brackets is setup's behavior. So this is a statement, which is an instruction for the program. The statement calls another function that was defined somewhere else in the p5.js library that does something. Any guesses for what createCanvas will do? Not this table. Not you either. My friends, come on. I know you can guess. You can guess what createCanvas. What's a canvas? Somebody over here. All right, yeah, what's a canvas? Yeah, this is a canvas, right? So remember, p5.js, thank you so much. It's all about visual art. And so we're going to use a lot of metaphors that are borrowed from like drawing and painting. So what do you think createCanvas does? No. What do you think createCanvas does? It's as simple as it sounds. Yeah, it creates a canvas. It creates an area to draw, right? What do we think these numbers do? No. What do we think these numbers do? Yeah, what do you think the numbers do? Maybe it's for how big it is, right? So let's go ahead and run. Go ahead and click the run button on your editors. And what do you see happen?
Gray box.
Click the run button.
Look at that.
Click the run button.
Oh my god. The
So
coding class
what we're trying to figure out is what these numbers do, right? So in coding, whenever we have a question, we just start changing the values to stuff to see what it does. So let's change the first 400 to 200. So change that 4 to a 2, and then run your program again. What happens?
Oh my god, it's a rectangle word.
It's a rectangle.
What happens to your canvas?
It got less wider.
It got narrower, right? Less
No
wide.
longer
You changed
wide.
the second.
Thick.
I want to make it bigger.
All right, so what do we think the first number, just the first one, what is it in charge of? Yeah.
Oh, width.
The width of the canvas, right? What's your guess about what the second one is in charge
Height.
of?
How long?
The height, yeah. So go ahead and test your hypothesis though, because we can never make an assumption.
The
So
width.
change the second number, either make it bigger or smaller, whatever you want.
Okay, I'm gonna put it on 1.
You're gonna do 1. That's
Yes.
gonna be a very narrow canvas.
Now I can't see it.
Yeah.
Maybe if I
Okay,
do
so you're
2.
already coding, right? You're already looking at all this gibberish and starting to make some sense of it, right?
I see it.
We see that we have some numbers. We're giving those numbers to a function by putting it inside of the parentheses. Do you need some help here? Alright, so those numbers, it's a lot of terminology that I'm throwing at you and you don't have to remember all of it, but those numbers are called arguments. So createCanvas takes 2 arguments. The first one tells it how wide to make the canvas, and the second one tells it how tall to make the canvas. Alright, so we have gone over a whole function, right, in JavaScript. We know how to create a function. We use the function keyword. We give it a name. We give it an argument list. Setup doesn't need any arguments, so we just have nothing in the parenthesis. Open curly bracket, whatever the behavior we want, close curly bracket. That's a function. p5.js is going to call this function for us. So let's ignore the code for a little bit and talk about how p5.js works. When I'm painting, I have a single period of setting up my work, right? I'm going to get my canvas, I'm going to get my paintbrushes, my paint, whatever I need, and I'm going to set up. That's a one-time task, right? And then I'm just going to keep painting until I'm done painting. So p5.js, very similarly, it's going to call setup as soon as you run the program one time, and then it's going to call draw, which we'll talk about soon, again and again. All right, so let's talk about draw. What's this word here, the brown one?
Function.
What's the purpose of putting function there?
So it knows what to do. So it knows what to do.
So who knows what to what?
So computer knows to draw the background.
Well, so
Good.
it's function is a keyword that tells, basically in JavaScript, it's a way that we indicate I'm going to define a function, right?
Yeah.
So function,
Yeah.
what's the function name? Don't
Draw.
answer, no, this table. What's the function's name? What's the function's name? Draw, right? Does it have any arguments? Is there anything in between the parentheses? No, so no arguments to draw. Open curly bracket, which means we're about to define its behavior.
Yes. Yes.
What do we think background 220 does? Yeah.
It changes the background color.
Maybe. Let's test it out. Let's
like
change,
the
let's change
hues?
220 to 0. So
So-
change 220 on line, most of you it's going to be on line 6 in background to 0. And
How
then
did you
click
know
play
that?
again.
How did you know
I
that?
didn't even know that, Troy.
What
Work
happened to your
smarter,
canvas?
not harder.
Black.
It's black.
It's black. Okay, try changing it to 255. Sounds like a random number, but it's a very important number in computer science. What happens to your canvas?
I forgot the word.
It's white, man. It's
What
white.
about binary?
I forgot the word.
White.
White, right? So 255, 255 changes it to white. Okay, so I think our guess was correct, right? What goes in between here, between the parentheses, this one argument that background needs, determines the background of the canvas, what color it is. But it'd be great if we could do something other than like gray or black or white, right?